issues. It was a remarkable journey, and I'm sure some of you have questions, and we are going to have this time of Q&A afterwards, but we do have some commonly asked questions that we'll address right at the top of things. And those of you, I know there's a few of you who were here during our January, last year January, we did a screening at the Chinese Historical Society sponsored a screening at the White House Day. It's held there. And since that time, we've uncovered a lot of new information that we're about to share with you.
First thing I want to let you know is that letter that you saw at the very end, where my grandfather wrote that letter, it's actually in the back. So I know we scanned through it really quickly, so when this is over and where you guys are hanging out, talking to each other, getting to know each other, and tell your stories, go in the back there, you can read the letter that my grandfather wrote back then in the 1940s. And you also see the obituary. I just scanned through it really quickly. But the obituary is back there as well as some old photos. So feel free to go back there and check those out at the end.
Yeah, the letter is really a remarkable insight into what it was like to be a Chinese man living in Mississippi in the 1940s.
So one of the first questions people always ask is why is my last name Chu, but my grandfather's last name is Liu? So basically, we all know here probably that our family name comes first in Chinese, but in English it's last, right? So when my great-grandfather was in Mississippi and they were doing all the paperwork, they said, well, what's your name? Oh, my name is Chiu Zhong Lo. Chiu Lo, you call me Chiu Lo for short. Said, oh, your last name must be Liu. So they said, oh, your name must be Charles. Give you a Chinese English name, so Charles J. Liu.
Do you want me to explain it faster? Okay. He's battling a cold, but you're doing good, Baldwin. So I'll explain. So Charles J. Liu, and then when his son came over, his Gamzheng, so it's Diu Gamzheng, so they said, oh, your name is Gamzheng KC, so we're just going to tack on Liu because your father's last name is Liu. When his father, Charles, finally came over in 1952, his father kind of knew better, and so when he became a citizen, actually said, my name is Charles Chu, the last name is Chu, and restored the family name to be the proper surname, which is why there's a difference. A lot of people ask us why the family was never reunited. We kind of mentioned a little bit at the end of the film. There are a few factors, but one of them was Casey Liu's death. He died in 1946, tragically, of appendicitis. He was only in his early 40s. His father did not come over until 7 years later, at the age of 14 in 1952. Here, he came through San Francisco. And because of the Chinese Exclusion Act and its restrictions, Casey Liu was not able to bring his family earlier, and so, tragically, they were never reunited.
But for those of you who are probably already knowledgeable about the Chinese Exclusion Act, if you're not, you can go over to the Chinese Historical Museum, Society of America, and check out their museum. It's got a great exhibit there that's now permanent here in San Francisco. So go check that out. But basically, the Chinese Exclusion Act caused the government to start creating these documents, which we didn't even know about until we started doing all these screenings. I think maybe after 30 screenings or something, like, people start saying, hey, you should check out the National Archives in San Bruno.
Well, because what people don't know is the Chinese Exclusion Act was really the beginning of our immigration system. Prior to the Exclusion Act, there was no restriction in terms of immigration, and so anybody, but it was specifically targeted initially with the Chinese, anybody that was a Chinese race, regardless of where you were born, and then it expanded eventually to all Asian groups and other European groups and African groups. But it did create a documentation system for anyone that was Chinese leaving to and from this country. And so we went there in San Bernardino. Anybody can go there. It's open to the public. This is public record.
And we discovered some crazy things. So after we were here in San Francisco last time, we did not know this. So we are sharing this for the first time.
People kept asking, like, oh, what do you know about, your great-grandfather and all this? And we're like, we don't know a whole lot, except how did he get to Mississippi?
So this is what we found. I am not the first one born here, as I always thought.
No.
My great-grandfather was actually born here in San Francisco in 1877. And people, we automatically thought, well, maybe paper signs, maybe a stick, right?
Or the fires, the earthquakes in
Or the fires,
1906,
right?
you know.
But then we did more research on Ancestry.com, and then we read all these documents, and we found that he got this in 1906, before the
1902.
1902, before the 1906 fires, and earthquake and fires. And then we found documents that in 1901, he applied for this while he was in Memphis. We found those papers while he was in
And it's
Memphis.
not like they were wanting to give these out like candy to people. I mean, you have to go through a lot. You have to get witnesses to vouch the fact that nobody saw you on a boat come here, that somebody saw you born here. And do you want to reveal the other cool thing about the location? Sure. Okay, I will, since you hear your voice is going. So the other cool thing is because this document here, it's hard for you to see back there. It says 712 DuPont Street.
Oh, is there a DuPont Street here in San Francisco?
Not.
Well, what is it?
Yes.
So this is 712, but there is not a 712 Grant Avenue.
And does anybody know what's located at that grand location now? There's somebody in the audience that knows.
It is the Walk Shop.
And the owner is here tonight.
Just stand up. So we found out that my great-grandfather was born on the 3rd floor above her current store, the Walk Shop.
I think the original store was destroyed.
The original store was destroyed, so this is a newer building.
And the street is now renamed Grant.
So I think numbers, what's the actual address? Is it 710? 718, and then it goes to 710 next door.
But he looked up historical maps and matched them up, and lo and behold, there's another crazy story about how we ended up meeting Tane because we met her nephew at another screening of doing this film, and he did a film on her shop, the Walk Shop, and just 2 weeks before we had gone to the archive, and Baldwin goes, "Oh my gosh, that's where my great-grandfather was born." And that's how we ended up getting connected with Tane. And so all these amazing coincidences, or I like to call them God incidences, keep happening.
So the question we actually ask is, why are these family stories, why are they important? Why do they matter?
Well, it's important for us because we need to document our family roots to educate others, and so our stories have permanence. A lot of his dad even is trying to figure out, why are you telling people my story? I didn't do anything significant. I'm just an average guy, government worker, came to this country, nothing special. But all of our stories have significance. And if everybody thought that way, nobody's stories would get told. The historical, society would have like nothing to record, right? Nobody recorded their stories. And so we want to hopefully encourage you to document your stories and be inspired by what you saw tonight. Other ways besides the documentary is you can write them down. You can, these are some also resources. We happen to be part of a collection of books. Do you guys have you heard of Chicken Soup for the Soul? Okay, so this is the Asian American version, kimchi for life, miso for life.
The first one was pho for life.
Pho for life.
I think the next one's going to be kung pao for life. I tried to get them, they tried different ethnic Asian groups.
Food,
The first
yeah.
one was pho for life, which is Vietnamese. Then the next one was miso, which is Japanese. Then they did kimchi, which is Korean. So the next one was Chinese. And so I said, you gotta do dim sum for life. And he said, sorry, we already chose kung pao for life.
Dim sum for life, much better. But, we wrote a couple of short stories inspired by our own personal experiences, and in my case, about my family, that are in this. And they're all Asian American writers, or writers who are writing about Asian Americans.
So we have those books back there.
Yes, we do have some. And other quick resources, recently there's a tenement museum in New York, and they were doing online story collecting. So this is something you guys can get involved with. Your story, our story, we actually have a couple of our artifacts from his family that we discovered in Mississippi on that first trip that you saw in the film.
So there's close-up pictures of the Bible that we found there, and then something we will reveal in the second film.
If you go to the website, you can see the other artifact that we didn't show in the film. Another website is called StoryCorps. University of Minnesota also has a great collection site of immigrant stories where you guys can go and just write your stories or orally record your stories. Okay, grandparents. How many grandparents are in the house?
No grandparents in here?
Normally, it's like the first people raise their hands, like, yeah! This badge They're still around, yes. Yeah. Well, we encourage the grandparents and parents, so to care enough to share, and the grandchildren ask your grandparents about their stories. How did they come to the country? Because I know my grandmother just passed away, last grandmother just passed away in December. She was 102. And for the last several years, she had dementia and was completely on her mind. And I never stopped to ask her while she was still of sound mind about her stories. Or even my grandfather, who lived to 99. I had so much time with them. And now I feel like I know more about Baldwin's family, who he's never met up until, 2-3 years ago. We knew absolutely nothing about them. And I feel like I lost that opportunity. Now I have to kind of ask my mom and my dad. So those of you who still have parents and grandparents still around, please ask. And grandparents and parents, please share with your kids. Doesn't have to be a fancy documentary. You can just write it down, record it on your phone, record it onto your computer. Just make sure your stories are told.
And I almost didn't know the story because my father didn't want to tell me the story. For so many years, he did not want to tell us. So we're just glad that he finally said something and led us to...
Well, we dragged him to Mississippi, that's what happened. Immigrant stories are stories of significance, not just of success. I think that's one of the things our community always just wants to put up the success stories, right? We mentioned his father, how he's like, well, why are you telling my story? I didn't do anything special. I'm not like a billionaire. I didn't win any awards. I didn't invent something important. But the thing is, it doesn't matter how much money you make or how famous you are. If you've come to this country and you've contributed to this country, that means you're significant. And if other people don't know about your contributions, then they're going to think you're insignificant. So it's important that we make all these immigrant stories significant so that people know that we are significant.
Another thing is, I think, our Asian culture, we try to not be afraid to fail, and we try so hard to be successful, and we get to this upper middle class comfort level where we're like now successful, and we don't know where, or we don't want to take it to the next level, which really is significant. We don't want to risk financial success to do something significant, something that's greater than all of us. And that leads us to why we think your family stories matter, because we really want to encourage people to do things above just their success level. Do something significant. Be involved in civic engagement and change policies that help people. Encourage people to get engaged in the community and do things. Yeah, it may not be glorious, or it may not make a ton of money, but you're going to be helping so many more people. There's so many people that could use your help. You've been through it, your family's been through it, so maybe there's somebody else going through it right now. We really want to encourage you, at least through civic engagement and public policies.
And we're so excited that we're here at the Chinese American Citizen Alliance Grand Lodge national headquarters, because they're one of the groups at the forefront of advocacy, the oldest advocacy group, in fact, for Chinese, actually Asian Americans.
In fact, one of the members is Judy Chu. Her office is 2 blocks away from us. We live in Pasadena. And we were able to meet her. We met her on several occasions. We've performed at her banquets and stuff like that.
And she interviewed her for our second documentary, where we're making a longer documentary that we'll share a little bit more about in a little bit. But because she was the one instrumental in helping to co-sponsor and pass the resolution to have the apology regret for the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act. And one of the other things that I just want to quickly point out that CAC is currently trying to advocate for is to get a gold medal of honor passed to recognize the World War II veterans that were Chinese American. There have been gold medals of honors awarded to the Japanese Americans, Filipino Americans that served in the military during World War II, but not the Chinese Americans. And so there's a massive campaign. If you don't know about it, there's a website there, or ask any of the CAC members that are here today. We need you to call your congresspeople and your senators, not just in this state, but other states, to get them to sign on.
One thing Doug actually mentioned real quickly to me right before, I just learned that there was a person in Cleveland, Mississippi that was instrumental in World War II, and his name was Kenny Gong. Well, I just found that out just now. Kenny Gong is listed on the obituary as one of the pallbearers to Casey Liu, my grandfather, and I had no idea until he mentioned that to me just like an hour ago.
Diversity, we're going to number 2, education. What we've been doing a lot of, why we are standing here before you, and not just here, but we've been going to classrooms all across the country. We were just at UCLA in November, go Bruins, and that's my alma mater. And normally I have the USC Trojans logo a lot smaller, but he changed it.
I'll punch your balls here. He went to USC Film School.
But he's a Bruin, because he's
That's why I have to make it equal.
Sorry. Okay, back to the subject at hand. We are trying to, regardless of what school affiliation you have, we are wanting to bring we want to change the way U.S. history is taught so that when people are learning about segregation, they also learn that the Chinese were also excluded from schools in the South, among other parts of history. Media is another important area that we're trying to influence. The more TV shows and films with diverse stories, the more people are going to know about our stories and be more, accepted into permanence in the society. I think one of the things that we have found, and maybe this is your experience as well, is that the Asian community is still looked upon as kind of foreigners in their own land. I know growing up, my parents, even though they became American citizens, I have a very different story. My parents came in the 1960s as students, which is kind of a typical of the newer wave of immigrants. And even though they became citizens very early on, and I was born here, they kept referring to the Americans. I knew they meant non-Asians when they said American. Even to this day when they kind of say American, but I'm like, I'm American. I was born here, so how confused was I growing up? And so it's changing the way we talk about ourselves, and how other people talk about us. And that starts with how people are portrayed on TV.
So we got a couple of friends here you might recognize. I was at the batting cage with Hudson the other day after we were at Fox Studios, and a couple of our other friends, Randall Parsons, they're on TV now, so we want to see more diverse shows like that, and hopefully we'll do things on.
And representations of our stories. I mean, their show Fresh Off the Boat is just one representation of our stories. They're Taiwanese American, and there's, we have people that are Toisan, people that are Cantonese. Oh, and later on, during the drawing, we're going to be giving away Fresh Off the Boat comic books to some people.
And Gene Yang is the author and the illustrator for it. Yes,
Gene is making tonight, did he? Okay, I didn't invite him.
He lives in San Francisco.
Chinese American comic book artist, yeah. So we need representation in all areas.
He drew the new Chinese Superman. So we love to open up the Q&A, but we want to remind you guys you have forms to fill out.
If you haven't had a chance to turn in your form, raise your hand, and
Doug's going to start but we're going to take some Q&A questions right now while he's doing that.
Yeah, you can raise your hand, and if you can try to keep your questions short so we can get as many people, get as many questions in as we possibly can.
We tried to answer as many beforehand, but we know that there's always stuff that we didn't cover during our discussion. So are there any questions actually from anybody from the audience? We'd love to answer it right now. Oh, right
yes, we hear. When the question is actually the great-grandfather was born here. What happened to grandma and great-grandma? That is a fantastic question. Oh yes, I gotta take it. Preserve your voice, yes. Well, Chinese Exclusion Act is the simplest answer. Because of the Chinese Exclusion Act, a lot of women were excluded from coming into the country. Part of it was because they were feared to become prostitutes. Part of it was because they were trying to weed out just the whole Chinese population. If you don't have Chinese women here, they can't repopulate. Great-grandma, who was mentioned in the film, who had bound feet, she was allowed in the country because once she had bound feet, which was kind of a symbol that...
Sub-clause in the Exclusion Act, one of those articles, sub-articles that said, if you have bound feet, then you're most likely of a wealthier class. You will not take labor jobs away because you're not allowed to be a laborer in the United States during the Chinese Exclusion Act. And you're most likely not going to be a prostitute. So if you can prove that you also own a store and you're not a laborer,
and she's actually married to someone.
And you're married, all that stuff, then you can let her in. So they petition. Finally, she was allowed in like 1992.
And from what we understand too, a lot of the interrogations and those who visited Angel Island know that he was very rigorous the interrogation. So a lot of women also didn't want to subject their family members, or they didn't want to subject the women to that because, again, they could have been accused of being a prostitute and then all of a sudden they're sent back home or they're taken away or locked up. And so Grandma, Casey Lu's wife, stayed in China to take care of the kids.
She was not allowed to come
because
over.
she couldn't come over. And then same thing, well, so great-grandma did come. And yes.
And then after my grandfather died, my great-grandmother went back to China because she could not run a store with bound feet by herself. Both my grandfather and great-grandfather passed away.
And her English was marginal.
And her English was marginal, so she went back to China.
To get your dad and eventually bring him here. It's a long, we're making a second movie because it's a long story.
It's really all a cause and repercussions of the Chinese Exclusion Act. They weren't allowed to have kids here. They had to go back over there to find a wife and have kids. Came back over, weren't allowed to bring them over. Came back and forth. Finally, able to convince them to let them over, but they're not going to take jobs away, and then back and forth and back and forth.
And 3 years ago, we knew nothing about the story. Now we can actually answer that question. So thank you for asking that.
Any other questions?
So I think there must be a story behind your decision to have the Chinese subtitles.
Why did you open the Chinese subtitles for this?
So we are showing the film to a lot of people that are not native English speakers as well, because we really want the first generation people to see this story as well. We've had a lot of comments in the beginning when we didn't have the subtitles, and they're saying, like, well, we have people that are first gen, that they don't really speak English that well, but we think that they should understand this story too. They are coming here for the first time, but they don't understand our history, so they don't feel like they are welcome here. They don't feel like they're Americans. Even if they became citizens, they don't feel like they're citizens because they don't speak English well.
Well, and if we show the film in a non-Chinese setting, we don't show the subtitles. We do have a version without the subtitles. And there's actually another reason for tonight. So Baldwin grew up knowing a lot about his mother's side of the family. And tonight his uncle is actually here. He's hearing impaired. And so we also showed the subtitles so that he could watch the film. He can read Chinese. Yeah. Yeah. He's like,
he's deaf and mute, but he can read the Chinese. So
he's not mute.
Well, yeah, he's not really mute.
Yeah. Oh, question.
The singing is wonderful.
Oh, thank you. He just said my singing was wonderful. Thank you.
You are a wonderful singer.
Thank you.
My question is to Baldwin, being Chinese American, and how our culture tradition is. You seems like you are really working in a non-traditional career, not a lawyer, not an accountant, not a
Engineer.
Recovery engineer.
What did they say? I am an engineer and I admit it, or something like that. I am an engineer. I have my professional engineering
Not full-time.
license. I consult now. I was actually working when Obama was president. The White House actually asked me to be a spokesperson for them because I use entertainment media to promote. In fact, I Want to Be an Engineer got millions and millions of views, and it's because of that man right there in the New York Yankees. I don't know why you're not wearing a Giants hat, but Jamal.
Our friend Jamal.
He edited,
great director as
yeah,
well.
edited that.
That was like the beginning of your film career, dude. We gave you your start, man.
He was the cheapest labor. I think it was $25. I bought him Japanese food. He did that whole video.
He and his wife are from San Francisco.
So he did the video. We got millions of views. Obama and the White House gets together with all the engineers. They get together with me and say, "Hey, let's do this." But yes, I left that job 2 years ago. Still consult, but we're doing full-time entertainment. We're music, writing music for film and television, or working on this film or our future film. And I'm actually trying to do more in the entertainment business as well.
Because we want to change the world and change education.
It's one of those things I was inspired that you're stuck at that success level. I was a senior engineer, I was a senior project manager, and someone challenged me and said, like, take it to the next level. Do something significant and risk that stuff so you can do something that's more important than just, making money. And I'm doing it.
Ethno Tech, we are kinetic storytelling theater people. We have a play called Red Altar about the first Chinese started the fishing industry.
Yes,
in Monterey. And my question is, we've been seeing the Asian American cultural movement over the last 40 years. And what my question is as you're traveling around and in the audiences that are millennials, do they have a sense of honoring their history, or are they too much in the bling bling and, you know, the fiscal? So what's your sense of response when you start seeing the importance of our human narratives historically?
So the question is, they have a great performance piece that they've done, and they were talking about, as we're talking to a millennial audience, what is the response then? Have they actually cared, or are they still stuck in their smartphones and social media to even care? We've done a lot of college campuses, and you know what? It's been amazing because I think immigration is a hot topic. I think that's part of it. I think to use their term, it's like, I think there's a lot of wokeness, going on in today's society. And I think especially with social media, there is this thirst and hunger for stories that are not being told in the mainstream. And so what we're hearing is that, so us going to schools, like maybe the junior hires, they're like on the fence about caring. But the high school students and college students especially, once they kind of hear their story, they're like, what? That's like crazy. I think part of it is how you tell the story. If you tell it in an engaging way, that's not a boring typical history lecture. I think, and it has a personal touch to it. And I think the word of that generation, our generation and below, millennials, is authentic. I think that's what it is. I think if you share stories, especially stories of history, they want to hear about the bad stuff. They want to hear about the struggles. Don't sugarcoat it. Then when you sugarcoat everything, that's when they kind of turn it off and oh, that doesn't apply to me because it's not real, I don't relate.
So I think that the young ones, they're really into the social justice stuff, right? They want to do good, but they're not sure how to do good because they're only 18, 20 years old, right? And one thing I've been saying to a lot of the schools when I'm talking, and I want to say, we study the past. We need to understand and study the past so that we can understand why the present is happening. And only then can we go and create a better future. So we all, and especially the millennials, they're talking about the future. This is for the future, but they don't know how to get there. Well, they don't understand, and we need to help them understand that by studying the past, we understand now so that we can help them create that future. And that's what we're trying to do, is not dwell on the past, but just understand it, to understand what's going on now.
Well, and it's amazing that, one last point is that, we're a little older than, we just missed the millennial mark.
Barely.
But we missed the millennial generation, and, but, Chloe Kim, the snowboarder who just won the gold medal, I read an interview with her, and, she's only 17, and she grew up in Southern, California, and she actually said, some people ask me, where are you from? I'm like, oh, where are you really from? And all of us sitting in this room, I think, have gotten that question, right? And so even decades later, somebody young who's a millennial is still getting that question. So I think it's important, one, we have to rewrite history a little bit, or how we tell history is so that, tell more accurately, is so that our kids, we have a 4-year-old, they don't get those same questions because it's a mom, of course you're American. Your his great-great-grandfather was born here in San Francisco and they were in Mississippi, and that's part of history. They're just as American as anyone else.
I'm sorry, I'm a baby boomer.
I'm not a baby boomer.
You're a millennial. And it just seems to me that you still have a lot of connection
We're actually Gen X,
with your
technically.
Chinese heritage. In the age of internet, there's so much information. There's so many sort of research into our Judeo-Christian, Greek roots, and I think it's great. We understand that. We live in a Western world. But I was wondering, we need a balance to look back at our great Chinese heritage, okay? And that may go back further to the Confucius, to Mencius. I just wondered, have you detected any strains of thinking that might go back, and also to bring it up to the modern, socialism, Chinese characteristics? In other words, I think there is a questioning of how we as Asians also can contribute to the Western world from this. So I just wondered if there's something there that you guys have noticed.
I'm sorry, can you, what was
Just
the
some
question?
research to
What
bring
research?
out
What research to bring out the,
what kinds of Asian Chinese traditions
what Asian Chinese traditions?
might be a benefit to the future of the world.
Why would it benefit the future of the world? Well, I will address it this way. One of the things that we're going to be exploring more in our second film, that's an expansion of the story, is the relationship between the Black community, the white community, and the Chinese community. And I think in telling that story, we will touch more about some of those cultural things that people brought from the mainland to America that contrasted with, obviously, the Black and the white community at the time, and what can we learn from that? I mean, there's definitely pros and cons to our cultures, but certainly going down that path, we do believe there's certain values that, again, root back to Confucianism and some of the other things in the Eastern world that can be a benefit to America if they would only learn about them.
We have one more in the back.
Julie Sue, and I was so glad to meet Baldwin Orsa last night.
Are we going to get you back?
But she raps Chinese too. You
You
can ask her later.
Glad that Robert and Nancy are here with Ray Alford. We haven't taught Nancy's family's history on the Monterey Coast. It's amazing. But I wanted to raise to all of you other avenues where you could do your research. In Baldwin, you may actually find more about your family. There's that Chinese Baptist church on Hyde Street. And we were talking yesterday, one of my childhood friends, her mom is from Mississippi. And I looked up her obituary. She was born in 1935 in Louisville, Mississippi. And she worked for her family's grocery store. And her surname, I looked at it because Baldwin said, what was her maiden name? Well, I couldn't remember. It's G-J-E-E, spelled J-E-E. And so if you find that, and also the first doctor, Chinese doctor licensed in California, it was in 1901, Holt Chang. He was able to travel fairly freely because of the Lutheran churches. And he ended up marrying a San Francisco girl at Lowell High School, correct? And
What's his name?
Holt Chang, H-O-L-T, and then C-H-E-N-G. And I met his son who was born in China 7. He passed away last year, but I, through with the Chinese Historical Society and OCA, helped him piece the history of his father because he barely saw his father because so does his father be here. He was born in China and they crossed paths. And it's through the Lutheran church that he found out a little bit more. So the churches actually had some influence because of the missionaries. So if you guys kind of missed that. And this place has so much memories for me because my Gong Gong, who was born here in 1892, actually was, I think, one of the co-founders of it, 1914 or 1915. And he was George Young, the furrier, for you guys who are like low Wagyu. So, and I just remember the best Christmas parties here. And worrying about getting caught underneath the stage, and that's where they store the extra chairs. If you were a little kid, you didn't want to sneak in.
Don't go down there, kids.
Yeah,
Don't go to the stage, okay?
a lot of history to be told, and then just want to plug 14, a documentary that I worked on with 14 Dred Scott, Wong Kim Ark, and Vanessa Lopez. And that's about the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship. So a lot of ties to freed African American slaves, and then now the modern day, not fully documented immigrants who seem to be all Latino according to this current administration.
Yeah.
But also that the 700 blocks of our city seem to be very significant because Wong Kim Ark was born in the 700 block of Sacramento Street where Nam Kyu House sits. And so that is the father of birthright citizenship, and it was the Chinese 6 companies that raised community awareness and the money to hire the attorneys to bring the case all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know who Wong Kim Ark is, look him up, Google him. Very, very There should be like a Wong Kim Ark street, right? You know what I'm saying? It was like Schrodinger's potato shop. It's like, these are the things that we're talking about. Like, we don't tell our stories and we don't demand our stories to be told to have some permanence. Like, we are not going to be recognized, as...
But she did bring up a great point about the early churches and how they helped the early Chinese, because they couldn't go to white schools, so they would create their own mission schools, and then eventually the Chinese families would raise up enough money to hire teachers to come into those Chinese mission schools